This is a $429 Viltrox 24mm F1.8 lens on the 61MP Sony A7R IV. If you think this is unreasonable, scrutinizing a low-cost lens on such a high-resolution sensor, I absolutely agree with you. But the lens itself seems to disagree. These were all shot wide open at 61MP. Full of pleasant surprises is what this lens is. Honestly, I genuinely was not expecting results like this from such an inexpensive lens. For how much this lens costs, I would say the optical quality is exceedingly good. Of course, don't go expecting G-Master levels of quality out of this. It's a $429 lens. So you can still expect some chromatic aberration, and you can see some vignetting wide open, or it's not perfectly sharp in the very extreme corners. You know, things that aren't exactly sins for lenses in this price range. But for something in this price range, you do get rather excellent resolution in the center, wide open at f1.8. It's got a fairly average physical size for a fast 24mm prime, but I would say it's on the lighter side, weighing in at only about 350 grams despite its metallic build. It does have an aperture ring. Interesting thing is that ring is declicked out of the box. When you turn it, it feels quite heavy and dampened. Now, it's still an electronic control ring, but in video mode it behaves like a properly declicked lens, meaning any aperture changes you make are stepless and gradual. It does have an A position if you prefer to control the aperture settings from the camera body instead of using the physical ring. However, one physical control you will not find on this lens is an AF/MF toggle switch. You would have to change your focus mode from the camera side, well, that leads us to another pleasant surprise: the autofocus performance on this lens. Now, it's always an area of concern with third-party lenses, but this Viltrox with an STM motor fares incredibly well. Autofocus is fast, and it even works rather well with Sony's eye-tracking autofocus. I would say it performs a little better in stills compared to video mode, but I would still consider it very much usable for video. It is possible to get a very decent amount of bokeh on this lens despite having a rather wide focal length. We've got the f1.8 aperture to thank for that, and I am very much enjoying the bokeh out of this lens, especially if it gets up close to your subject. Minimum focus is about 30 centimeters from the sensor plane, but should you choose to use this stopped down, you do benefit from significantly sharper corners by f2.8. If you keep going towards f4, you do get a little bit more resolution, albeit a much smaller improvement. Also, as you stop down, vignetting is practically gone by f5.6. I don't think Viltrox ever intended for this to be the most premium 24mm prime for E-mount, but I dare say you are getting every penny's worth for the price you pay for this. The way I remember it, low-cost lenses were not made nearly this well back in the 2010s, so this lens has certainly caught me off guard. So if anybody is thinking of getting a fast 24mm prime for their E-mount camera but isn't quite ready to commit too much cash into one, this is a pretty safe option to consider. I honestly was not planning to review a sub $400 lens on the highest resolution full-frame camera to date, but after I got a few shots in, it seemed to hold its ground, so I went with it. Do check out the links below if you're interested to pick this lens up for yourself, or perhaps even as a gift, hopefully just in time for Christmas this year. But if you found this review helpful, then maybe I'll see you in one of my other ones.